In this video we're going to talk about objects and dot notation. So far all of the variables we've created have been primitives or their corresponding wrapper classes. What happens though if we want to create an object from a class we've written or from some other class? Well, we can create it just like another variable. We can write the code to call that class's constructor and create an object. And how do we do that? Well, we do it the same way that BlueJ does it. So if we have our terminal window open and BlueJ open, so far if you want to create a new class, you right click on it and you call one of the class's constructors. So I'll call the new student constructor here, click OK, and BlueJ writes this code for us, student1 equals new student. If I give it a different name, so I'll call it student some student, we can see it wrote the code. So here is the class, here is the object name. So we're creating an object called some student, and it's a type student, and we say it's equal to new student, and that's because that's the constructor we called. We called the new student constructor. If I was to call a different constructor, so this one that takes a name and an age, I will say the name is Alex. Remember it's a string, so we need to put quotes around it, and I'll say the age is 44. So there we go, student, student2, so student2 is the name, it's of type student, and we've called this constructor, the one that takes a string and an integer as a parameter. And that was this constructor there. So how do we create them in our code if we want to create an object? Well, we do it the same way. So you see if I copy these two pieces of code across, and I will put them in this method I've created called test.notation. And let me just bring that in. You should always make sure your code lines up. So student some student equals new student, student student2 equals new student, and I'll pass the parameters. So that's how we create objects within our code. So we give it the class, the name of the class that we're creating, the name for the object name. So the object name is student2, it's of an instance student, and then we just call the constructor. So now I have these two objects. So what happens if I want to access one of these objects methods? Once again, we do it the same way that BlueJ does. So let's see here. Student2, I can go get age, and you can see here integer is an object. So in BlueJ, when we inspect an object, if I inspect it here and look at the state of this object, it only shows us values for primitives. Because we talked about in an earlier video, when we create an object, it has a reference and it points to the object. This is showing us it's an object. So if we want to get the value of the object, we have to highlight it and inspect it. We only get to see the values here if it is a primitive, because when we declare a variable, a primitive has a memory location, we access that memory location, it has the primitive in it. When we create an object, which a wrapper class is, in this case integer, the memory location has a pointer that points to the object, which is somewhere else in memory. So that's what this line is. So I can inspect it like that. In these cases, the address hasn't been set, so there is nothing in that variable, the variable that points to the object. So that's why it says that it's null. Anyway, that's just getting a little bit off topic, but we can see the age. And if I was to open up my terminal window, you can see actually it returned an object reference. Let's actually get the name. That will be a better one. String get name. Okay, it returned Alex. And look how it did it. Student2.getName returned string Alex. So this is dot notation. Object name dot method name. And we can do this in our code as well. So I could copy this into my code. So let's do a print line statement. System dot out dot print line So that will print out Alex. There's another thing we can do. Watch what happens if I type student 2, so the object name, push dot. Now I'm pushing the control and space at the same time. Look, it gives me all of my methods. And if we look at the student here, we can see there are methods called get name, get email address, set email address. We can see them all here. When I push my control and space bar after the dot, so there's all my getters, there's all my setters, set age, set name. So let's actually do something. Let's go student 2 get name. Let's go student 2 dot set name, and I'm going to change the name to Bob. Alright, and let's print that out again now. And let's actually run this. So compile that, make a new instance of topic 3, and test dot notation. Now, where is my terminal window? Alex. So we can see print name, Alex, set name to Bob, get name, Alex, set name to Bob, get name again, and now it's Bob. So we can create objects just like this, and then we can use dot notation to access the objects. So we use object name, dot, and then method name. One last thing to mention about objects, creating objects. You can see here there is a line pointing from topic 3 to student. That is because topic 3 contains an instance of student. So in our class diagram here, by looking at this, we know that topic 3 contains an instance of student.